The morning had barely broken over Chicago and Hannah Bradford's world shattered. The air was crisp, but it felt like fire ran through her veins as she dashed through the streets in her designer heels, her expensive coat flapping behind her. Panic clung to her every step, tightening her chest like a vice. Her heart screamed, her mind raced, and all she could think of was the tiny, fragile life she had promised to protect. Her baby, Sophie. Somehow, in the chaos of a brief distraction, her precious daughter had vanished. A crowded street, a momentary glance away, and suddenly Sophie was gone. Hannah's luxurious life, with its high-rise penthouses and sparkling gala invitations, offered no shield against the sheer terror of losing her child. As she stumbled into a small, quiet cafe off Michigan Avenue, her eyes scanned frantically. Mothers, fathers, couples, baristas, everyone blurred together into a faceless tide of potential tragedy. And then she saw him, a man sitting alone at a corner table, his weathered features illuminated by the soft morning sunlight streaming through the window. He looked ordinary, maybe even broken in a way Hannah couldn't quite place. And there, in his arms, was Sophie. For a moment the world stopped. Hannah's chest heaved, tears pricking her eyes, and her knees nearly gave way. She didn't even notice the customers turning to watch her frantic rush toward the man. There was something unexplainably gentle in the way he held her daughter, like he had been waiting for this moment all his life. And when their eyes met, everything changed. If this story touches your heart, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. Believe in kindness, in miracles, and second chances, because sometimes life surprises us in ways we never expect. Hannah's voice trembled as she reached out, her fingers brushing against Sophie's soft cheek. The man, tall, in his early 30s, with dark hair slightly tousled and an earnest expression, looked up at her, equally stunned. He wore a simple gray sweater and jeans, completely unlike the men Hannah's world was accustomed to. But it didn't matter. What mattered was the safety he had provided, the quiet strength he exuded, and the way Sophie snuggled into him without fear. His name was Matthew, and he was a single dad who had spent years raising his own little girl, recently gone to college. He had a gentle yet protective demeanor, the kind of man who knew the weight of responsibility, the ache of sleepless nights, and the profound fear of losing someone you love. When Hannah's frantic energy filled the room, he could see the raw desperation in her eyes. Without hesitation, he had scooped Sophie up in his arms, determined to calm the baby until her mother arrived. The cafe felt impossibly small, the hum of the espresso machines and the murmur of conversations fading into the background as Hannah tried to catch her breath. Memories of Sophie's tiny hands and soft giggles flooded back to her, mingling with the guilt she couldn't shake. Hannah had always been consumed by her work, by endless meetings, boardrooms, and charitable foundations, believing that money and influence could safeguard everything, including love. But life had a way of reminding her what truly mattered, and in that moment she realized she had almost lost the most important thing in the world. Matthew, sensing her turmoil, offered a gentle smile. There were no words needed at first. Their eyes spoke volumes. He handed Sophie to Hannah, watching as she cradled her daughter with trembling arms. The connection between them was immediate, almost magnetic, as though fate had orchestrated this encounter. And Hannah, in all her wealth and power, felt a humility she hadn't known she could possess. Here was a man who had nothing in common with her glittering world, yet he held her daughter as if it were his sacred duty. Over the next few minutes, as Hannah hugged Sophie tightly, fragments of conversation slipped between them. She learned that Matthew had been at the cafe helping a neighbor when Sophie wandered in. No one else had noticed, no one else had acted, but he had. He didn't care that Hannah was a billionaire, that her life was filled with opulence and privilege. All that mattered was that a child needed help, and he was there. Hannah's tears fell freely now, a mixture of relief, gratitude, and an unfamiliar stirring of admiration. She realized that life had a way of teaching lessons in unexpected places. Despite the boundaries of wealth and status, kindness and courage transcended everything. And as she watched Matthew gently adjust Sophie in her arms, she felt something shift in her heart, a recognition that perhaps, in her pursuit of perfection, she had forgotten the simple, profound beauty of human connection. In the days that followed, Hannah found herself thinking of Matthew in ways that surprised her. She returned to the cafe, not just to thank him again, but to see the quiet strength in his eyes, the unwavering dedication to his child, and the warmth that radiated from him without effort. Each encounter deepened her appreciation for the man who had become an unexpected hero in her life story. She began to see that the world she had constructed with money and influence was incomplete without genuine human connection, empathy, and the courage to act when it mattered most. Matthew, too, felt an unspoken bond forming. He admired her not for her wealth, but for the raw vulnerability she displayed in front of him, the way she had allowed herself to be stripped of pride, to confront fear, and to embrace the smallest, most crucial moments of life. In those shared silences and fleeting smiles, something profound began to bloom, a recognition that sometimes the people we least expect can touch our lives in ways we never imagined. Hannah started to change in subtle ways. She spent more time with Sophie, more time in the quiet corners of life, learning to savor moments rather than chase accomplishments. She watched Matthew with a mixture of awe and gratitude, realizing that true wealth wasn't measured in dollars or designer labels. It was measured in the depth of love, courage, and human connection. And for Matthew, the encounter reminded him that even in a world that often felt harsh and unforgiving, kindness had a way of finding its way home. Weeks later, the memory of that frantic morning in the cafe became a cherished story, a turning point for both their lives. Hannah and Matthew formed a friendship built on mutual respect and shared understanding, their lives forever intertwined by the fragile thread of fate that had brought them together. The experience reminded Hannah of the fragility of life and the extraordinary power of compassion. In Matthew's quiet heroism, she discovered that sometimes the most ordinary people can have the most profound impact on our hearts. Before the story ends, if this story moved you, please leave a comment about what kindness and second chances mean to you. Share your thoughts, because your voice matters and can inspire others. Hannah Bradford never forgot the day she saw her daughter safe in the arms of a man she didn't know. It was a lesson in humility, a reminder of the power of courage, and an awakening to the beauty of genuine human connection. She realized that life's true treasures were not found in boardrooms or bank accounts, but in the selfless acts of ordinary people who rise to extraordinary circumstances. And as she walked away from the cafe, hand in hand with Sophie, and a quiet gratitude toward Matthew lingering in her heart, she knew that sometimes the most life-changing encounters come when you least expect them. If this story touched your heart, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Let this tale remind you that compassion, courage, and love are gifts we can give freely, and that every act of kindness has the power to change lives forever.